Are you emotionally strong enough to handle her? The men who fail these tests lose attraction instantly. The men who pass them become unforgettable. One of the biggest mistakes men make in modern relationships is assuming that a delayed reply automatically means rejection. The moment her response becomes slower than usual, their entire emotional state changes. They begin staring at their phone every few minutes, checking her online status, rereading old conversations, wondering if they said something wrong, and creating problems in their mind that don't even exist. What's interesting is that many women notice this emotional instability immediately. A woman who likes you often pays close attention to how dependent you become on her attention. She wants to know whether your confidence is genuine or whether it only exists when everything is going your way. This is why sometimes she intentionally creates a little distance, not because she hates you, not because she's trying to punish you, but because distance reveals the truth about a man faster than closeness ever can. A man with emotional control understands that attraction cannot survive under pressure. He knows people naturally move at different emotional speeds. Some days she may be energetic, playful, and highly engaged. Other days she may be busy, overwhelmed, emotionally tired, or simply wanting space. But insecure men interpret every small change personally. The moment she replies slower, they panic internally. They begin chasing reassurance instead of maintaining composure. Suddenly, they send multiple follow-up messages, ask unnecessary questions, or try harder to force conversation. What they fail to realize is that desperation silently destroys attraction. The more a man acts emotionally dependent on constant replies, the more pressure the interaction begins to feel. Women are naturally drawn toward emotional steadiness because it creates a sense of security and calmness. Nobody feels comfortable around someone whose mood changes every 5 minutes based on attention. Sometimes a woman intentionally delays her response because she wants to observe your reaction without directly asking questions. She wants to see if you become controlling, impatient, needy, or emotionally dramatic. This is important because women pay attention to emotional behavior more than words. A man can speak confidently all day, but one moment of insecurity exposes his true emotional state. If a delayed message completely destroys your peace, it tells her that your emotional balance depends too heavily on external validation. And the truth is, confidence that depends on validation is not confidence at all. It is emotional dependency disguised as confidence. Emotionally mature men approach communication differently. They understand that their life cannot revolve around one person's attention. They continue focusing on their goals, routines, work, health, purpose, and responsibilities without becoming emotionally consumed by temporary silence. They do not feel the need to chase every moment of reassurance because they already understand their value internally. That calmness becomes attractive because it communicates emotional abundance. A secure man does not panic when energy shifts slightly because he understands human emotions naturally fluctuate. He does not force connection. He allows it to develop naturally without suffocating it through anxiety. What makes this dynamic even more important is that many women are unconsciously searching for emotional leadership in a man. They want to feel that his emotional state is stable enough to handle uncertainty without collapsing under pressure. Life itself is unpredictable. Relationships will never feel emotionally perfect every single day. There will always be moments of silence, distance, confusion, stress, and emotional imbalance. A woman observes whether you can handle those moments with maturity or whether you immediately become reactive. And unfortunately, many men fail this test not because they lack value, but because they lack emotional patience. One of the clearest signs a woman is testing your emotional strength is when she intentionally disagrees with you, challenges your opinions, or questions your perspective even in situations where the disagreement seems unnecessary. Many men misunderstand this completely. They assume attraction means constant agreement, endless softness, and effortless validation. But attraction is rarely built through emotional comfort alone. A woman often challenges a man because she wants to understand the depth of his confidence. She wants to know whether he truly believes in himself or whether his personality changes the moment someone questions him. This is why some women will debate small topics, push against your opinions playfully, or act unconvinced even when they secretly admire your mindset. It is less about the actual topic and more about observing your emotional reaction under pressure. Most men fail this test because they become emotionally defensive almost immediately. The moment a woman disagrees with them, they feel personally attacked. Instead of calmly expressing their thoughts, they start trying desperately to prove themselves right. Their tone changes, their patience disappears, and their emotional need for validation becomes obvious. Some men even become aggressive because deep down they confuse dominance with emotional control. But true confidence never needs to force itself onto others. The louder a man becomes during disagreement, the more he exposes insecurity hiding underneath his behavior. Women notice this very quickly because emotional reactions reveal more truth than carefully chosen words ever can. A woman is naturally drawn toward a man who can handle disagreement without losing emotional balance. When she challenges your perspective and you remain calm, relaxed, and self-assured, it communicates something powerful about your personality. It tells her that your confidence is not fragile. It tells her that your identity does not collapse simply because someone thinks differently from you. Emotionally mature men understand that disagreement is a normal part of human interaction. They do not need every conversation to become a competition. They are comfortable expressing themselves without becoming emotionally consumed by the need to win. And ironically, that calmness often makes their presence far more attractive and influential. Sometimes women intentionally create small debates because they are looking for emotional resilience. They want to know how you behave when things stop going smoothly. Anybody can appear charming when everything is easy. Anybody can sound confident when they are constantly being praised and agreed with. But emotional maturity becomes visible when tension enters the conversation. Can you remain composed when someone questions you? Can you smile under pressure instead of becoming irritated? Can you respect a different opinion without feeling threatened by it? These moments reveal whether a man has emotional depth or simply rehearsed confidence. What many men do not realize is that women often feel emotionally safer around men who can tolerate tension without becoming reactive. Emotional stability creates trust. If a man becomes angry during small disagreements, it raises concerns about how he may behave during serious conflict later in life. A woman observes whether your emotions control you or whether you control your emotions. That observation begins during small interactions long before a relationship becomes serious. Even playful teasing or harmless disagreement can become a hidden test of patience, maturity, and emotional intelligence. There is also a psychological reason behind this behavior. A woman wants to feel that a man has his own mind, his own standards, and his own emotional grounding. But at the same time, she wants to see whether that strength is balanced with self-control. A man who immediately folds under pressure appears weak, but a man who becomes emotionally aggressive appears unstable. The balance she is searching for is calm confidence, the ability to stand firm without becoming emotionally chaotic. That energy creates attraction because it feels secure, grounded, and emotionally masculine. One of the most misunderstood attraction tests happens when a woman casually mentions other men in front of you. She may talk about a coworker, mention someone who complimented her, bring up an ex briefly, or describe how another man tried to get her attention. For insecure men, this instantly creates emotional panic. Their mind immediately shifts into competition mode. They start over-analyzing every word, comparing themselves to someone they have never even met, and wondering whether they are losing her interest. But what many men fail to understand is that in many cases, this behavior is not about replacing you. It is about observing your emotional confidence. A woman who likes you often wants to know whether your sense of value is strong enough to remain calm, even when your position feels slightly challenged. Women naturally pay attention to emotional reactions because reactions reveal hidden insecurities faster than words ever can. A man can spend hours trying to appear confident, dominant, and emotionally strong, but one small moment of jealousy can expose everything underneath. The reason this test is so powerful is because it directly touches a man's ego. The moment another man enters the conversation, many men feel an unconscious need to compete for importance. Suddenly, their tone changes. They become colder, defensive, possessive, or emotionally distant. Some men even try to prove themselves by bragging more, seeking reassurance indirectly, or interrogating the woman about the other person. What they do not realize is that this emotional reaction often weakens attraction instead of strengthening it. A secure man approaches these situations differently. He understands that attraction cannot survive in an environment filled with insecurity and emotional pressure. He does not feel threatened every time another man exists in the world around her. He knows that confidence is not built through controlling people or demanding constant reassurance. True confidence comes from internal self-respect. That is why emotionally mature men remain calm when these conversations happen. They do not become emotionally reactive because their value does not depend on being the only man receiving attention. They understand something powerful that insecure men often ignore. People are naturally more attracted to those who already believe in their own worth. Sometimes women bring up other men because they want to see whether you become emotionally unstable under pressure. They are observing whether your confidence is real or conditional. Can you stay relaxed even when your ego feels slightly challenged? Can you maintain composure instead of becoming jealous? Can you trust your own value without needing constant validation? These reactions matter because they reveal how a man may behave later in a serious relationship. If small situations already create insecurity, possessiveness, or emotional tension, it raises concerns about future emotional stability. Jealousy itself is not attractive when it comes from insecurity. The interaction begins to feel heavy and emotionally exhausting. But when a man remains composed, playful, and unshaken, it creates emotional freedom inside the connection. That freedom allows attraction to grow naturally without pressure. A secure man does not need to compete aggressively because he understands that real value never needs to beg for attention or fight for validation. His calmness itself becomes proof of confidence because emotionally strong people do not panic every time they feel slightly tested. One of the moments that reveals a man's emotional maturity the fastest is when a woman suddenly cancels plans. For many men, this immediately feels personal. They assume rejection, disrespect, or loss of attraction without understanding the deeper emotional dynamic behind the situation. Sometimes a woman genuinely becomes busy, emotionally overwhelmed, or unable to meet. But in many situations, especially during the early stages of attraction, she is also observing how emotionally dependent you are on her presence. She wants to see whether your entire emotional stability collapses the moment things do not go exactly as expected. And unfortunately, many men fail this test because they react emotionally instead of rationally. The average man builds too much emotional expectation around one interaction. He begins imagining emotional certainty too quickly, which is why even small disappointments affect him deeply. The moment she cancels plans, his mood changes instantly. He becomes irritated, passive-aggressive, cold, dramatic, or emotionally distant. Some men pretend they are fine while secretly trying to punish the woman emotionally through silence or attitude. Others become needy and start demanding reassurance, asking whether she still likes them, or trying desperately to reschedule immediately so they can calm their own anxiety. What they fail to understand is that emotional pressure destroys attraction far more quickly than temporary distance ever could. A woman who likes you often pays close attention to how you handle inconvenience because relationships are full of unpredictable moments. Life will never move perfectly according to your expectations. There will be delays, changes, stressful periods, emotional fluctuations, and moments where plans fail. A woman unconsciously asks herself an important question. If this man becomes emotionally unstable over something small now, how will he behave during serious challenges later? This is why emotional control becomes incredibly attractive. A calm response communicates strength, patience, and self-respect. It shows that your life has balance beyond one person's availability. Emotionally secure men understand that attraction grows best when both people feel freedom instead of pressure. They do not build their entire emotional world around one date or one interaction. If plans change, they remain relaxed because they already have purpose, discipline, responsibilities, goals, and structure in their own life. Their happiness is not entirely dependent on one person showing up exactly when expected. This energy feels powerful because it communicates abundance rather than desperation. A man who maintains emotional stability during uncertainty naturally appears more confident and emotionally grounded. What many men misunderstand is that reacting angrily to cancelled plans rarely creates respect. Instead, it often reveals emotional fragility. Women notice when a man becomes emotionally reactive because it signals hidden insecurity underneath his confidence. A man who truly values himself does not need to force guilt, control, or emotional pressure onto someone to feel important. He understands that one cancelled plan does not define his worth. This calm mindset creates emotional attraction because it removes unnecessary tension from the interaction. There is also an important difference between emotional maturity and passivity. A confident man does not tolerate repeated disrespect endlessly. If someone consistently wastes his time without genuine effort, he recognizes the pattern calmly and adjusts accordingly. But emotionally mature men do not explode emotionally over occasional inconvenience. They maintain dignity without becoming dramatic. That emotional balance is rare because many people today either become controlling or become emotionally weak. Very few remain centered and composed. Women are naturally drawn toward men whose emotional state feels stable regardless of temporary situations. Stability creates emotional safety. When a man handles disappointment calmly, it demonstrates self-control and inner confidence. It shows that he is capable of leading his emotions instead of being controlled by them. A woman notices when your energy remains steady during uncomfortable situations because emotional reactions always expose deeper truths about a person's mindset. The ability to remain patient and emotionally grounded during moments of uncertainty often separates emotionally attractive men from emotionally reactive men. One of the strongest signs that a woman feels emotionally comfortable and attracted to you is when she begins teasing you playfully. Many men completely misunderstand this behavior because they interpret teasing as disrespect, criticism, or lack of seriousness. But attraction is rarely built through robotic conversations and constant politeness alone. Real chemistry contains emotional tension, playfulness, unpredictability, and moments where two people challenge each other lightly. When a woman jokes about you, playfully makes fun of something small, or creates harmless emotional pressure, she is often trying to build a deeper emotional connection while also observing how confident you truly are underneath the surface. Women naturally pay attention to how men react when their ego is touched slightly. Anybody can appear confident when they are constantly being praised, admired, and validated. But playful teasing creates a different environment. It introduces emotional tension in a harmless way and reveals whether a man is emotionally secure or secretly fragile. This is why some women intentionally tease men they like. They want to see if you can laugh at yourself without becoming defensive. They want to know whether your confidence is natural or whether it disappears the moment someone jokes with you. And unfortunately, many men fail this test because they take everything personally. The emotionally reactive man immediately becomes serious when teased. His mood changes. He either becomes defensive and starts explaining himself, or he withdraws emotionally because his ego feels attacked. Some men even become passive-aggressive, trying to win back control of the conversation by insulting the woman back harshly instead of keeping the interaction playful. What they fail to understand is that attraction depends heavily on emotional energy. The moment the interaction becomes tense, insecure, or overly serious, the chemistry begins to disappear. Women often lose attraction not because a man lacks good looks or status, but because he lacks emotional flexibility and self-confidence during small social pressure moments. A confident man handles teasing differently. He understands the emotional game underneath the interaction. Instead of becoming offended, he stays relaxed, playful, and emotionally composed. He can laugh at himself without feeling humiliated because his confidence does not depend on appearing perfect all the time. This energy immediately feels attractive because it creates emotional freedom inside the conversation. A woman feels comfortable around a man who can handle playful tension without becoming emotionally unstable. It shows emotional strength in a very natural way. Playful teasing is also a form of emotional flirtation. Many women use humor and challenges to create excitement because emotional stimulation is a major part of attraction. Relationships built only on seriousness often become emotionally dry very quickly. Playfulness creates emotional movement, unpredictability, and chemistry. That is why women are often drawn toward men who can respond with wit, calmness, and light confidence instead of insecurity. A man who can maintain emotional control while still enjoying the moment creates an energy that feels magnetic because he is not trying desperately to protect his ego at every second. Another important reason women tease men they like is because they want to test emotional resilience. Life itself is full of uncomfortable moments, criticism, misunderstandings, and pressure. A woman unconsciously observes whether you collapse emotionally under small amounts of tension or whether you remain grounded. If harmless teasing already causes anger, frustration, or insecurity, it raises questions about how you may react during serious emotional situations later. Emotional control during playful moments often reveals deeper emotional maturity. Many men mistakenly believe masculinity means always appearing serious, dominant, or emotionally untouchable, but true confidence is often revealed through emotional ease. A secure man does not need to defend himself constantly because he is already comfortable with who he is. That comfort allows him to stay calm during teasing instead of reacting emotionally. Women notice this immediately because emotional security is rare. The ability to handle playful pressure with humor, patience, and relaxed confidence creates attraction naturally because it communicates inner stability without needing to announce it verbally. One of the deepest and most important attraction tests a woman unconsciously observes is how a man behaves when life becomes frustrating. Not when everything is perfect, easy, and exciting, but when things go wrong unexpectedly. Anybody can appear calm when there is no pressure. Anybody can look confident when life is moving smoothly. But emotional character is revealed during inconvenience, stress, disappointment, delays, conflict, and uncomfortable moments. This is why women naturally pay attention to a man's reactions during frustration. She is not only listening to your words or admiring your appearance, she is studying your emotional behavior, because behavior under pressure reveals the truth about a person faster than anything else. Many men do not realize how closely women observe emotional reactions in ordinary situations. It may happen while driving in traffic, speaking to a waiter, handling a mistake, dealing with a disagreement, or facing unexpected problems during the day. These small moments often matter more than grand romantic gestures because they reveal emotional patterns. A man may appear charming during planned situations, but frustration removes performance and exposes emotional control. A woman notices whether you remain respectful, patient, and grounded, or whether small inconveniences instantly transform your energy into anger, irritation, and emotional chaos. Emotionally reactive men often fail this test without realizing it. The moment something goes wrong, their frustration controls their behavior completely. They become rude, aggressive, impatient, or emotionally unstable over situations that require calmness. Some men believe this behavior makes them appear dominant or powerful, but in reality, uncontrolled emotional reactions often communicate weakness rather than strength. True emotional strength is not about intimidating people during stressful moments. It is about maintaining composure when most people lose control. Women are naturally drawn toward men who feel emotionally stable because emotional stability creates a sense of safety, trust, and calmness inside a relationship. A woman unconsciously asks herself an important question when observing your frustration. Can this man handle pressure without emotionally collapsing? Life itself is difficult. Relationships will eventually experience stress, misunderstandings, financial pressure, emotional exhaustion, and unexpected challenges. If a man becomes emotionally explosive over small inconveniences now, it raises concerns about how he may behave during serious life situations later. This is why emotional control becomes incredibly attractive. A calm man creates emotional security because his energy feels predictable, balanced, and grounded even during difficult moments.